He's a senior pastor at Fair Park Bible Fellowship. He's also the CEO of Life Always, and he's also the chairman of the National Black Pro-Life Coalition. My distinct pleasure to introduce Stephen Broden.
Hello, fellow patriots. Men and women, I stopped by here today to alert to you that there is nothing like this that has ever happened in the history of our nation, where our government has turned its intensity upon our religious liberties. We are witnessing something here that is undocumented in the annals of history, where our government is telling us that we must provide contraception and sterilization for women. Now, many of us are aware of the fact that the HHS mandate is going to be decided upon by the Supreme Court this month. That's why we're here today, as an expression that we do not want to support this particular mandate. This mandate is pushing upon the church draconian measures like contraception, but a word that most of us have not responded to yet, and I believe we should, is sterilization. What woman wants to be sterilized? We need to ask the question, why are you pushing sterilization onto our culture? This is not an accident. It is not incidental to the process, but rather it is central to the effort of the progressive left and the liberal elite in America to dumb down and to control population. Let's call it what it is. They are attempting to control population, and they're using the redefinition of life around abortion, around euthanasia, in order to get rid of population. Inside Barack Obama's medical Obamacare is the idea of euthanasia based upon economic viability. Listen to me. Those of us who are baby boomers, you are a target right now. The baby boomers are resigning or retiring at a rate of about 10,000 baby boomers today. A day. There's no way that the Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security can handle that type of access that the baby boomers are having on that particular program, on those particular programs. So what is the thing to do? You hire Eric or Zeke Emanuel. You bring him on staff, call him a czar, and he creates legislation or creates policy to get rid of old folk. We hire in John Holdren, who wrote a book in 1977 called Eco-Science, where he advocates forced abortion, putting sterilates in your food, and sterilizing women as many as they can, as often as they can. He is now the science czar. Do you think that's accidental? Do you think that's incidental that those people are showing up in this administration at this time in the history of our nation? No, it is not. It is by design. And many of us are sleepwalking. We're not paying attention. And to the extent that we are, we just cannot bring ourselves to believe that our government is turning on us like this. Well, guess what, folks? They are. And if you do not wake up, and if you do not push back, we'll lose the day. They are winning the popular consensus right now. They are winning it with our sons and our daughters who are saying, what's the big deal? What's wrong with socialism? We're losing because many of us will not decide to make the tough decision and hit the streets for liberty. Hit the streets for our freedom. It's time for us to hit the streets. Hit the streets, hold up your signs, march down the street, and let our issues rule the day. Liberal media is ignoring us. Mark Stein told us, the worst thing that media can do to you is to ignore you. And that's what's happening. Where is the media now? They're ignoring us. They won't ignore you if you stop some traffic in downtown Fort Worth. If you start crossing the street by a step at a time, like this said, we protest this HHS. We protest this HHS. and just slide one step across. And people will say, why is the traffic backing up? There's that one guy, Pastor Broden, walking across the street like he's 90 years old, talking about, I protest this HHS. And until we do stuff like that, they're going to ignore us, and they will win the day. Men and women, 5 issues on the table that will ultimately determine who we are as a people. Abortion, euthanasia, embryonic stem cell research, human cloning, and the redefinition of marriage. All 5 of those issues are on the table right now, and we need to respond. If we lose it on these 5 issues, America is gone. Men and women, that's the urgency of the moment. What we're facing right now is our very survival as a nation. The wall between our liberties, our freedom, and the founding principles that made this nation great, the wall that they're attempting to push over, is the wall of our religious liberty. Once religious liberty is gone in America, America is gone. Do you realize that's the urgency of the moment? Do you realize that's what's happening to America today? National Defense Authorization Act is one crisis away from implementation. One crisis away. And our 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Amendments are down the tubes. Do you realize how close we are to losing our liberties? Men and women, this is not about coming here and saying, rah, 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 we love Jesus. This is about coming here and getting our marching orders. Your marching orders is to take our fights, listen, to the streets. They're not listening to us in Washington. They're not listening to us in the halls of Congress. They're not listening to us in the Senate. In fact, it was 2 of our senators who signed HHS. They signed off on NDAA. Cornyn did, and so did Bailey. They signed our freedoms away. So did it happen in the halls of Congress when the Tea Party candidates probably didn't read it, didn't understand it, but they signed off on it and signed off our 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Amendments. Men and women, do you realize what we're facing here? What we're facing here is the same kind of threat that our founding fathers were facing. We're at the same moment, and those men pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honors to give us what we have here today. That threat, men and women, is alive today, and it's pressing in on our liberties. It's trouncing upon our Constitution, and we must not remain silent. We must go to the streets. I'm calling you to the streets today, not in violent protest, but in nonviolent protest, slowing down traffic right in the middle of rush hour, making our voices known, raising our placards high, declaring we will not go into the darkness without a fight. We will fight. We will fight. Men and women, push back, push back, push back, push back, push back, push back. This is our moment.